Okay guys, so we are going to go over our table December 2023. Let's see how things are going. So US household savings, we said before, it went up during COVID, went back down, and then started picking up already, which shows recovery, shows, people spending money. Well, I can tell you the update is, it's going back down again, right? It's gone back down and it's about 800,000 billion dollars, right? Not 800,000, sorry, $800 billion. So it's coming back down. It was 2 trillion at the peak of COVID, and it is now coming back down, which shows that people don't have money. Next one, RRP, which is the bank savings. As we said before, 2019 wasn't a penny. Then they created it, went up to a peak of 2.2 trillion. At our last check, it was 1.5 trillion. I can now happily tell you, it is now halved. This, in the last time, in about a month, it is now 800 billion, right? From 1.5 trillion, it is now 800 billion. Funny, same as the household savings. And household savings actually includes institutions as well, companies as well. So it's not just personal savings. This is the bank savings, and it is 800 billion as well, stashed in our RRP. So slashed, both of them are coming down. That is not a good sign. Doesn't mean we're in recession yet, doesn't mean we're in depression yet, but things are definitely slowing down. US interest payments, as we said, it's an 8% budget deficit this year, absolutely astronomical, considering 3% is said to be excessive. 8% is beyond anything in peacetime we ever had, and it is 1.1 trillion for the US government. Now, if you think that's bad, at least the US government is generating, with that huge deficit, 5.2% GDP growth, which is really, really unbelievable. But that's just because the government's printing money, spending it into the economy, and so that generates growth, as well as 2 endless wars in Ukraine and Israel, which is a huge export thing for America. Now, let's look at the UK. So while the US had Q3 5.2% growth, the UK had 0%, and obviously that's fudged. Obviously it was 0.1, but they had to fudge it to 0 because you have 2 negative quarters. You're called recession. So they know Q4 is going to be bad. So at least if you've got Q3 at 0%, you're not officially in recession. That's basically the shtick that they do. So 0%, as if you could get 0%. Anyway, UK government borrowing is going to be in 2023 126 billion. UK interest payments is 116 billion, which essentially means the UK is now borrowing just to pay the interest, which increases the debt, so that next year their borrowing will be more. Well, they will have to borrow more just to pay interest on the debt. So essentially you're just borrowing to pay interest. It's no longer borrowing to pay off debt, which is really bad situation. Now you're borrowing just to pay the interest on the debt. That is beyond belief, right? Imagine you've got an interest-only mortgage and you can't even pay the interest on an interest-only mortgage. Forget the capital, which you haven't touched yet, and it hasn't been touched. You can't even pay the interest on that mortgage. That is the UK. They can pay because they're just going to print it and increase inflation. And that's why inflation in the US is 3.1%, while in the UK it's 5%, right? And not going to come down because they're just printing to increase it. Plus they've got strikes, they've got many strikes, they've got huge increases in benefits coming next year, in pensions coming next year, in public servants coming next year. Massive whopper of inflation is coming next year to the UK. So I don't see their inflation going down at all. I do see the US coming down, and it is, even though they're pumping a lot of money into it and they're going down in their savings, they are keeping a very, very good GDP figure, a very robust figure there. But so we can really see the US doing well, the UK absolute disaster, not even able to pay off its own interest, its borrowers to pay off its own interest, all at a time that it has the highest taxes in peacetime, the highest ever taxes. There's no more they can milk. The cow has been milked to death, and you still can't pay off your debt, and you still can't pay off your interest-only mortgage. What does that tell you? If you see somebody and you see he's working as hard as he can, and he still can't even pay off the interest on his interest, what does that mean? The definition is bankrupt. That's it, bankrupt. And that is the UK. The US still got a lot of legs to go, and we'll see how that plays out. Thank you very much.